Okay, so now we're up to the third video. We've got all our stuff in, all our information in, all our files in, our interviews and our effects and soundscape stuff. Very simple, of course. So now we want to start editing it and putting it all together. So once again, what I'm doing is checking. Can you notice here that it has, this is on yellow. Make sure that's on yellow. What I'm doing is just pressing R to bring in and see all of this dialogue together. So you can see there's a lot of gaps here between these bits of dialogue of Shrek and Fiona. So let's clean that up a bit. First thing we can do is you can actually either select them with this smart tool still selected, and you can still see it's changing between the four things we can do, and you can bring it in. So it's probably best to do it as separate dialogue because these are, separate people. But you could also do them by shifting shift and select whichever ones, and then while you hold shift it could bring them all in together if you think they do. So for example, at the start of this we know that Fiona's the first to speak there, so we can bring this. When I went to the edge, see I went to that little bracket thing, and I just had a shift down. So now if I go up there, see it's because the smart tool's back on select. Now I'm going to unselect them, and what I'm going to do is go on the Shrek one, and I'm just going to select somewhere in between. Now you can see here there's a grid here. Remember I said try for you guys. At the moment I've got it on slip because of I was working with the dialer, which means I can move it at absolutely any point and move this up and down, and it will just be exactly where I stop. If I put it in grid mode up here, grid mode, it will lock to. If I'm now pressing T to just expand this so you can see the grids, it will lock to the grids. You can see that every time I move it, it locks to the grid. If I put it on slip mode, it will go just to where I want it. Wherever I stop. So what I'm doing now is that's R's getting bigger, T coming back in. So T's going out, sorry, R getting smaller. So what I'm going to do is put it on grid mode, and that's probably what you should do to start with until you're fine tuning. So you can bring it back in, and that also will line it up. I'm going to go out a bit, and now I'm going to bring Fiona in as well to line up on the grid with the smart tool at the edge with the brackets. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is get rid of all this space too between them. So what we can do here is I can use the select a bit just to get to around there, say, where there's no sound. And again, what I'm going to do is press shift and select it on Fiona as well, because we can see between the two of them there's not much there. Now what I want to do is I want to split this audio. So remember we talked about last week that the audio in dark is the original file, so if you ever make a mistake you can always go back and start again with the black ones. But once you split it, it starts to do these just plain text, not bold text here. So now we can see here that there's a bit of a gap. So I'm just I selected both of them, that's because of the shift key. So again, there's one selected, and if I shift and hold the next one, that's two of them. Then all I do is press Apple E, and now it has now split them both that way. So now, again, if I hold, now I'm in here between the grabber tool and I go down there, because of this being a smart tool. In the middle it's that thing, and then here it's the grabber. Now if I go to the right, see how it's got that bracket? I can hold down shift because of both of them and bring that across. And now we've only got what we want to hear. And so we'll do it again here. So again, the smart tool, when you drag it up and down above the file, it goes either to the selector or the grabber. So we go to grabber and grab Fiona, and then grabber with the shift key down, hold Shrek. If I go to the very end of the file, it has that bracket. Holding down shift, I can bring them across to where the dialogue starts. And now you think, well, how am I going to get that to there? Well, because it's still both of them are highlighted, and now I'm pressing R just so you can see the whole thing. You can hold that grabber tool, shift, and it'll shift both of them over. You just bring them in to where you want, and then you use your T to get in finer, and just holding it until you get what you want. Okay. So now, but that's only for those files. So now if you want to select, we'll unselect that. But you might move all of this to the left now, which is what I want to do. So I'm going to grab that file, shift, that file, shift, that file. No, I just grabbed them both because I'd already selected them both. Now see the grabber tool, shift, and and move them, shift, and move them all across to there, to the left, just so I had them all in one thing. So now I just want it to sort of stop, obviously, where the rain is. We don't really need any of this sort of dialogue. So what I'm going to do now is just grab the end one here, because it's still both of them are highlighted, so they'll still do it to both at the same time. But because of the smart tool being selected, the bracket here, I can bring that in. See, I didn't hold down shift, so I'm going to undo that with Apple Z is undo. Now I'm going to, that one's selected already, I'm going to hold shift, hold them both down. Now hold shift and select them and bring them both in line with that rain here. In fact, and then we'll probably end up bringing it all in line with the music, because we're only doing a short little thing. In fact, let's do that now. So now we know that we want it to only go to the sort of, what I'm going to do is go up, is hitting T now to see how big this is. But what we can do now is, just before we've even done anything else, is just have a listen to all of it. It's all very, so I'm going to return back to the start. So it's all unmixed, no effects, nothing. We just know all the sounds are there. So we need to, and you can tell that music's way too loud, which we did in one thing. So there you go. And if you want to, you can solo something. You can only hear, or you can solo. So obviously they're going to be our featured dialogue, these two, and the rest will be supportive. Okay, remember the 2.5 rule, where you only want sort of one element, or at least two elements as the focus, and the rest down at half speed, so half volume. So we're going to have these two, Fiona and Shrek, as the main dialogue, or we're going to sort of make them be as though they're, standing there talking in the rain, maybe, with the rain just all around them. But so the rain has to be a bit less, and then suddenly a car comes past, and then maybe they're on the street, which is why this crowd will be in here. We might bring in a few more crowd people soon, so that it seems like they're on a street somewhere in the rain, and then we will have the car come by. Remember how we said we're going to make that increase in volume and pan from left to right as though a car's coming past, and how you hear it, make some noise like that. So let's do that soon. So let's start. So we've got these. So let's import a couple more crowd noises. I've got some more crowd noises just so we can use it with this Waller one that I just recorded. So this time I will import the audio, but I will do it on new tracks. So what you can do is Shift Apple I for import new audio, and then you go to your file that you have it in. So I've got Honeycomb Productions, LaTrobe, find it, sorry I passed it, LaTrobe Studios, LaTrobe Vectors, Tube Videos, raw audio files. I've got these background blocks here, I'm just going to use them all. That one to that one. So again, I've selected all of these and they've come in here, and then you press add to the here, and then you press done. Now it'll say, do you want them in the clip list, which was what's been happening, which just puts them over here. But rather than having to create the tracks and then drag them in, we're just going to go each one of them on a new track and at the start of the session, and you just press OK. And there you go. All of these new tracks were selected. Now you're saying, why did they go there? Because I had this one selected, and so it brings in the new ones next to whatever you had selected. Now because these are crowd noises, they're like effects, so we can keep them in that color. Or if you want, you can make them a whole new color, and we're going to add Steve, because I just recorded that, but it was more like Waller. So I'm going to add him to this group. So let's make him plus all this group a different color, so we know that these are all the background voices that are on the street. So you select all the ones you want, and again you go to Window, Color Palette, and let's make them, I don't know, red. So remember, make sure this is in tracks, then you select it, and there you can see now we've got all the crowd people there. Close your window. So these have already been named because of the file, but what we can put in here is just, if you like, this is the comments, you can just put crowd 1. And what you can do is, once you've done crowd 1, just select it and then Apple C, and then you go to the next one and then Apple V to paste it, but then just change that to 2, and then down to the next one, Control V, make that 3. Next one, Command V, and then 4, and so on. So I'm just 5, Apple V, 6, Apple V, making it 7, Apple V, making that 8. So now we know and then press enter. Now you can see we know them now. What I might do with Steve, even though I know it's him I recorded, I might put in brackets crowd, and this is all just notes for you so you know what it is. So that's what we've recorded there. So now we've got all the crowd in red, our 2 main feature dialogues in sort of purpley pink, the rain in sort of like a grey blue, and the music in there. So it's very clear. And if we do Command plus again, remember, here we are in the mixing, and you can see that it's all very obvious. Now you can see when you created those new tracks, because the computer, ProTools, just knows that you, like as you imported, that it was a whether they're mono or stereo files. So that's why it's created them all as mono, because that's what those sounds were. So now again, if I go back to Command plus, I can see all the different background bits here. So I'm just going to sort of, yeah, so we'll just sort of, that's all fine actually. We're only going to go up to this sort of section, so we'll just leave that for now and start fine-tuning the editing. So let's have a listen to everything. So now you can hear that the crowd is a lot louder and the music's going to be very loud. Okay, so you can hear it. Everything's there, but it's really quite loud. So the first thing I would do would be, let's just bring down the music a little bit, just so we know what we're dealing with. So we're at the music. So let's just bring it down. See, if I hold down the thing and we go down, let's really bring it down to like, you know, minus 20. Doesn't have to be exact, just around there. So now if we go back to Command plus, you can hear the music. It's very quiet now. So if I go Command plus while it's playing, I can bring that up. You know, and we can start it where we want. So what we're going to be doing is bringing this in from quiet. We're going to automate it, you know, to be there and maybe overtake the volume of the words, and then go away again as the car goes past. So we'll do that first. That's the obvious one to do first. So let's start. And obviously the car would be sort of down, almost down to nothing when we start. So we'll start there, and we'll go back to, I just went Command plus again. I'm just opening this up a bit. So what I'm going to do is select this one, and I'm bringing it in a little bit because I'm still in Smart Tools, so this is all happening very quickly. Bringing this in. So what I'm going to do here is go to this again and get the track height and make it large, because that's what I'm dealing with. I'm also, now that we've got everything in, I'm going to get rid of these regions files again. So remember, just down here, this little arrow, if I close that back again, it gets rid of that. So this is where we need to automate now, automate the volume. But what I'm going to do first is I just brought that, again, you can have the bracket thing here, I can bring this back, and that's where we started. But I don't want all this silence, we want it to sort of start, I want my soundscape to start straight away with the car. So we're going to bring that to there. And then I'm just going to bring this all back to the start. So now, like I said, we want Fiona and Shrek to be the main focus. So what I'm going to do for the moment is just solo Fiona, Shrek, and the music by holding down Shift and then selecting the ones I want soloed. And then we can just hear only those people, because there's your interview. And we can't hear much of the music, actually, because I've got it down so low. See, there's where the car would come past if I wanted to. So we can see that's what's happening there. So let's bring the music up. Now what I would do for you guys, one other thing I would do, we've got all our tracks now, just to keep the levels right, because you can see the levels all along here, but it's really good, particularly when you guys are bouncing, is to go and add a new track again, but a master track. So you can either go track, new track here, or like I used to do, Shift Apple N. So you want your one mastered one to be a stereo track, obviously, because that's what the final file will be. So you want one. Now remember, you can hold down Command and go right, left arrows, right arrow, left arrow to make it mono or stereo. So we want one stereo track. And And we don't want an audio track. These are your up and down arrows now. If you've still got the command key down, you can go auxiliary input, master fader, MIDI track, instrument track. You want master fader. So we want a master fader stereo. You create. Now it's put in the middle because that's why I had selected, but you can just drag it. You just select that because it's highlighted. Bring it across. I like to bring it across to the right. And this will now, what this is doing, this master one, is giving you a sum of all of those things and basically giving you the level here of what everything put together when you've finished, how much, whether it's distorting or not. So if I just press play now, you can see it all happening here. If I bring this up, see, there you go, see? So there we go, we've got what we want there. So what I'm going to do already, you can sort of hear that the dialogue's a little bit quiet, so I'm just going to bring them up. I like to do it in increments of 3 because that just sort of increases the volume nice enough but not over the top. So 3 dB to start with, and bring this one up to 3 as well. What I'm doing here is, if you wanted to fine tune, because when you do that you might go, oh god, I can't quite get it on 3. So you do it normally with the dragging thing, but then if you hold down command, it goes slower and you can really do each increment. So that's what I'm doing here, holding down command and then moving it till I get 3. Let's have a listen to that.
Mom and Dad, Prince Charming.
So you can hear that now. But I actually like,
I mean, don't you think
that's a good,
they might be a bit shocked to see
you know, that's a bit, you can hear them a bit better now.
They may be a bit
So now I am just going Apple T back to here. So now we need to automate the volume. So what we're going to do over here is go from waveform, which is showing all this, to volume. So if you click on that, we've got waveform, you've got volume, you've got pan, left and right. So we're going to do volume first and then we'll do the pan. So the volume will make it louder as it comes nearer to Fiona and Shrek the car. So we obviously want to start it, you can see here, because we've already set the general level, it's got the arrow, the line there. So what we want to do now is you want to go to your, actually it's already selected there, so you can bring that down, but we want it to start all the way down at nothing, as though the cars, you know, just come around the corner. Then you need to go and select your pencil tool to draw on the automation, and see this little arrow down here, make sure you go on that, and keep it on line. I think line is best for you guys at this point. And then you just go along to the point, maybe, you know, where you want the dialogue, where the car will be sort of at its peak, you know, getting in their way. So let's maybe just randomly, I've selected it there. And like I said last week, I like to sort of put the points where it's going to start and finish going past them, and then we can fiddle with them later. So you put the 2 outside boundary points, and then I put 2 more points in between with the pencil tool that I selected up here. Then I go back to the smart tool, clicking all 3, and then I start to bring up the middle one, you know, to where you want it. So we'll probably put it. You can see here. This is telling you how much dB you're bringing it up. So you want it -13, or yeah, maybe just because even at 0 it was pretty loud. So let's maybe just put it at -6. So what that's going to do now is it's going to be no volume at all till it gets to there. But we don't want that. We want it starting from the very start and just gradually. So I'm going to bring. Actually, what I'm going to do is see, I've put a dot there. I drew one in, but there's also one at the very start over here. So what I'm going to do is just get rid of this one. So what you do to do that is just press Option, and see the little negative sign comes in there, and just click on that one. Now you can see it's gone back to the one previous, and it's just a nice little gradual up to there. So now what I would probably do is, depending on how long we want the speed of the car to be going past, you know, let's make him just cruising past. Otherwise, it could be just, you know, quite fast and zoom. But so again, I don't think we really need that one. So I'm holding Option with the negative, getting rid of that one, and bringing this one that's down to nothing. So we don't want the nothing volume until at the end, at least for now anyway. We'll see what that sounds like. So now the volume is going to gradually get to that peak, and then drop again as it's going past. So let's just have a listen to that and see what that sounds like.
Mum and Dad?
Prince Charming? We're not going.
What?
I mean, don't you think they might be a bit shocked.
Yeah, so you can see it's coming up.
Like this.
Well, they may be a bit surprised, but they're my parents, Fred. They love me.
And the car's coming
Don't
past.
worry, they're gonna love you too.
Yeah. Somehow I don't think I'll be welcome at the country club.
So,
Stop it, they're not like that.
Then how do you explain such a
so there you go, that's how it would start. I think it needs to come in a bit quicker. So I just moved that volume and maybe not quite as much so you can still hear some of the dialogue. Let's have a listen.
shock?
Let's start again.
Mum and Dad?
Prince Charming? We're not going.
What?
I mean, don't you think they might be a bit shocked to see you like this?
Well, they may be a bit surprised, but they're my parents, Fred. They love me. And don't worry, they're gonna love you too.
Yeah.
And as you know, what I'm going to do now is bring it down a bit quicker, bring this in, because you know with cars, when they sort of go past you, how it sort of drops quicker. So we'll do that as well. So let's have a listen to that.
Prince Charming? We're not going.
What?
I mean, don't you think they might be a bit shocked to see you like this?
Well, they may be a bit surprised, but they're my parents, Fred. They love me. And don't worry, they're gonna love you too.
Yeah, right. Somehow I don't think I'll be welcome.
Okay, so you can see that started the thing, the car going at least past and taking over their voices as it got closer. So now what we also need to do is make that pan, because it's not just going to be in the center. A car just isn't in the center. So let's do that now. So what we do now is we go to the volume here again, but now we're going to automate the pan left and the pan right. Each one is a separate line. So you need to make sure that you do both because it's a stereo file. So what I'm doing now, if you go to the Command Plus and you go to the music one here, which is what we're doing, you can see this one's already on the left, and that's where we want it to start. So if we go back here, pan left, it starts there. And what we want to do is just find where we got really loud and make that this when it's in the center, when the volume. So I'm going to go back to volume for a second, and you can see that our peak there was when the car was like right. I'm just going to focus in a bit. Right here was where the music was at its peak, and it's obviously right in the center where the audio is going to be as the car's coming past you. So what I'm going to do is put in a marker there. So again, this is where that other window that I was talking about before. So you go up to Windows and you go down to memory location here. Click that, and that brings this up. And what you can do is click on this little yellow arrow, this arrow, and you can add a new one. See up here, add new memory location, and it goes, this is going to be location 1, and it's going to be right wherever you've selected to be. So I'm going to make this the location 1 will be the car center, like, so we know it's at the center of when they've come past. I just know you can name it whatever you want. So now I know that's there. I've got a guide that I can go from. If I click on that, it's going to start there. So if I'm over here doing something, but if I click on this, it goes to there. Or I can be over here, working on something, and then go to my memory locations and click car center, and it goes straight to where that point is now. So now I've got a guide so that when I go back to the panning, I can know that the panning has to be in the center by that point. Okay, so if I go to pan left, so I'm just doing the left speaker, it's in the left. So at this point, I want it to be in the center, and the center is obviously right here, and if over here is down this way is right. So again, I go to my pencil tool, and I've got my marker already set there from our thing. So if I just click right, I'm going to go open. I'm just using T to go right in a little bit, and you can see it's on grid. If I just select there and coming back out with my R, now I know that's gone from left into the center, and if I just left it like that, it would stay in the center. But let's let it sort of cruise for a little bit to make it sort of, I suppose seem, no, let's just do it all the way down. So what we want to do now is, now that we know by that point in the volume is allowed us in the center, we want to do another point at the end. And what I'm going to do now is go back to selector, and then this one is right, at the end there. We might even bring that in a bit so it's nice and even. See, like that. So I've brought in. So by this point, It's gone from the left speaker gradually as it's driving past to the right, and then it stays over to the right as it's heading off into the distance. So now we have to do the same. That's the left one. Now we have to do the same with the right one. So we need to go up here again and then pan right, and you can see that it's already over right at the right. So we need to bring this, to start with, all the way up to the left, like that. And then we do exactly the same thing. So now we need to go to our pencil tool. I'm just going to come in. I'm going to select there, come back out again, select the end, and then go back to my Smart tool, bring this down. So now we've got this panning right from left to right as well. I just want to go back to the left one and check where this point is. See, now if I bring my marker to there, expanding out, see you've got there. If I keep that there, that means I can now bring in the back to pan right and bring it, this one is to the far right, down to where that marker is. So that they're both exactly moving at exactly the same point. So now we should be able to hear, I'm going to get rid of Fiona and Shrek, we should be able to hear from the start that pan from left to right. And you can hear it, volume getting louder as well, and then it's getting into the center. Now it's in the center, the loudest volume, and now it's driving past. So that's worked. You can see how that works there. So now that's done, that's made that work, and now we just have to play with the volume in regards to Shrek and Fiona to see how much we want it to take over. Okay, so the next one we're going to work on balancing a few more things and then maybe add some effects. Cool.